All right, part three. Okay, so we covered really what we're covering is how the heck did I get here? What am I doing? Why does this matter? Why should I pay attention to you? Who are you? Whatever. Okay, this is why you should pay attention. Because if you are somebody who's gone through a shit storm um, and is struggling in your business and have bet on yourself or are wondering whether you should bet on yourself, this is for you. Okay? It's all the cautionary tale of what can happen, what might happen, and what you can um, make happen. So this is part three. So to quick recap, I am a small business owner, I am brand new in Charlotte, opening multiple candy stores with the sole intent of building for exit, which I didn't do the first time around. Prior, I had multiple restaurants and two candy stores all at the same time, and I realized there's a better way. And now I'm proving that in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is also where my grandkids are. We also are fix and flipping. We are buying and holding real estate. My husband is a builder, and that's his skill set. We do some short-term rental, mid-term rental, a little bit of everything. So that is kind of my background, but really my passion project is connecting and working with other business owners to get them to get the exit they deserve. So that is my very long story about why I'm talking about this. So here we are, part three. So I have talked about origin and how I started my store and why I started my store. It really was about a safe space. I wanted a place that was mine and mine alone, that nobody else got to say. When you're married, sometimes your spouse makes choices and you have to suck it up and live with them, even though they're not your fault. And that's kind of what happened to me. And so I wanted a little world that I got to say. And if I screwed up, so what? It would be my mistake and my lesson, and not a lesson because of somebody else's choices. And so that is what I wanted for myself. After staying home for 14 years with my kids, homeschooling, and supporting my husband in his career. So flash forward, my husband, update is, my ex-husband is remarried, happy, sober, and healthy, and that is amazing. We are, we're cordial, right? He has a new life with a new wife, and I have a new husband, and our children are all amazing and happy. But I didn't know if that was going to happen. And so we started Life is Sweet. I supported him. He went to rehab. He got healthy. He had PTSD, really. And a lot of people who have addiction, that's just the Band-Aid on the real problem, right? It's just they've put a Band-Aid on something that is really systemic and that they have to fix. And that's what happened for him. And so thankfully, he got sober and got healthy, and well, I would say he's healthy, but anyway, and we stayed together for another 6 years after that. So, but sometimes people can't get over the things that they do. So he was the one who asked for divorce, and we got divorced. But fast forward, I had my candy store. That was 6 years into my candy store. My candy store got me through so many hard times. It has been on and on the place that has kept me so safe, the place that's kept me sane, and also the place that's made me insane. And so we figured stuff out. Like, there was a time where I hired my first staff. I bought back my time, gave up my profitability to go to work. I did. I worked at Longhorn for 9 years. 9 years. Watching their processes, watching how they did things, learning all along. It's like free education, really, on systems and process and how to get yourself free when you have employees instead of them just doing whatever they want. And they also gave me full benefits, which was amazing at the time. I left with money, a couple $100 every day. I had full benefits, and my store was still operating. This was my first adventure of like, wow, I could buy back my time, right? And again, wasn't making millions, wasn't making hundreds or tens of thousands, but it was paying the bills. It was paying for itself. It was paying for my time back, and I could focus on other things. Eventually, um, I got bored at the candy store. This is a cautionary tale for entrepreneurs. So we get bored, and we think, what else can we do? And that's kind of what happened for me. Just pulling up to the candy store. I got bored. And my brother-in-law at the time was like, we have this restaurant over here. Have you ever thought about having a restaurant? You should rent it. You should do, we were doing, by that time, we were doing cupcakes, we were doing candy, we were doing chocolate, we were doing fudge, we were doing ice cream. We were doing a lot of different things, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of staff. I think at that point, probably had 10 or 12 staff, all part-time, young people, but I really never had to be there. I was working at Longhorn just because it was pattern. They worked around my schedule. I made great money. Again, had full benefits. All my kids were growing. But my son was going through a really hard time um, as a result of all the other hard times, right? And so, remember I mentioned about making lemonade. My son was really having a difficult time. There was some drugs and stuff like that, typical teenage stuff, but like times 10, right? Police involvement, all kinds of stuff, all the things. And going back, I wish I maybe had done some things differently, but just trying to like help him to get on the right path. My girls were both in college, and I didn't know what to do with him or for him, and I needed a project. And so I jumped into a restaurant. Never had run a restaurant before, but I had been working in one. Um, but I, again, believed in myself, thought, well, I could do this. So here's how I got into my restaurant. It was called the Flight Deck. It was at our local airport. It was mostly private jets, no commercial, private jets and private planes, right? Like older guys who have their own planes who want to come for breakfast, that kind of thing. I wanted to expand the offerings and be able to bake separately from the candy store where we have a kitchen, but it was just easier to do it elsewhere. And I just developed this very simple model, and I thought, I'll just have a restaurant. It'll be easy. Ha, famous last words. But anyway, I opened my first restaurant. So that was in 2016. So 10 years into my candy store, I was bored. Life was again chaotic. Had a lemonade situation and started my second business. So now I'm running two. Grateful that I had great staff at the first one, that I never had to be there. I had just met my soon-to-be husband, and so I decided to jump in with both feet. Here are the stats. Rent was $500 a month plus taxes. It wound up being $800 a month. It had everything I needed. It was a takeover. What they would call it Gen 2, right? Somebody else's dream had died there. It had been empty for years. They were desperate for somebody to take it over. It had the plates. It had the grill. It had fryers. It had everything you could possibly need. And all I had to do was give security and first month and actually moved the bar. That's it. And I opened. And that was something. Um, yeah. But guess what? Another world that I got to create, that was mine, that I got to say, that I got to invest in, that I got to create and learn. And took my brain and mind off of the storm that was in my personal life. I don't regret it. Sometimes I miss it. But that's why I started a second business. Oh gosh, now we're going to have part 4. Dang it. All right, see you in part 4.